Okay, good afternoon. This is day 99 of making little videos of describe a day or thought in the life of Schizophrenic Dominic. I am a experienced schizophrenia, and I believe is a reality to be experienced. I believe that the world went crazy on me and warred upon me, inflicted schizophrenia on me, and I don't believe that I am diseased or crazy. Uh, In day 17 of these videos, I describe why I call myself a schizophrenic rather than targeted individual. In day 45, I describe why I uh, make these videos in the first place, and then a 3-minute intro, and then there's the rest of the video afterwards. I have written a book on medium.com that I submit in chapter form as I finish it, and it's about done. It's for free. You can read it, and it gives some idea about my thought processes that could have gotten me targeted for this schizophrenia affliction. And it gives some research into voice hearing and stalking in the public and things like that. And so I was going to start off today talking about just reading a definition because I talk about gang stalking sometimes on here and with regard to the targeted individual program and things like that. So I figured I would give just people an idea of uh, what I'm talking about. And so I have it written, have it on a post here. Someone posted it on Threads. And it's a phenomenon, a social phenomenon. Gang stalking is a social phenomenon conducted by an organized group of individuals whose intent is to cause harm or enforce a desired outcome upon an individual by covertly stalking to gain information, building a psych profile of a targeted individual, and constantly harassing and undermining the psyche and livelihood of an individual via social proxy. For example, the group will learn of your standard daily, weekly routine habits, the likes and dislikes, interests, and goals. Once they have this information via false allegation or accusation, they can trick people into willingly complying with their schemes to frame you as the bad guy or drive you into committing a crime. You could be relaxing only to have people intentionally and aggressively approach you as if attacking, then turn away at the last moment and pretend that they have no idea what you are getting so anxious about. I experienced that on the road, on the highway, things like that. This is just a general idea of what goes on or whatever. So uh, the goal is of this is one to make you feel unsafe, two to make you react violently so they can claim assault or worse, murder you in self-defense. Try to make you yourself question your own sanity. And four, coerce admission of guilt or make certain decision and making ubiquitous torment end. Okay, so these programs are very tailored to the person, like the schizophrenic, and that's why I call it schizophrenia because I think these things have gone on with schizophrenics for 100 years or so, and now people are calling it. I explained that in the day 17 why I choose to call myself schizophrenic. But that's the idea of the targeted individual, the gang stalking, and it just gives you one general description. There's a lot of different descriptions of it because it's very tailored and it's very it takes on all kinds of different forms of stalking, but basically you're stalked by an organization of people and they manipulate reality and what I come to understand is that it's a massive wide it's like a Manhattan style project, Manhattan Project style thing that just it's huge and it's massive and schizophrenia is part of it, mental health, all that, and it's all part of it, and so that's why I make these videos. And okay, I was gonna get into something else here uh, today. In Not So Misfit, I was going to talk about synchronicity. And in Not So Misfit Odyssey, is synchronicity with regards to simulation and stuff like that. So I was reading a Not So Misfit Odyssey, and Juanito the pig is collecting acorns, and he's being kind of selfish by just holding the acorns. And I think Conejo says, you know, the little pigs haven't eaten today, or like the little children haven't eaten today. Are you sure you want to hold all those acorns? And I haven't flipped the page, but that's what I'm at. but I was struck by the fact that they were talking about the trees in the beginning of that section, and they were talking about the trees being diseased. And we just recently, as I'm reading this book, this is the synchronicity. The trees in our neighborhood, about 12 trees were cut down. There was very little communication about it. We don't know if they're diseased or what or something, but they had three limbs fall off at three different times. So perhaps they're saving someone's life or something that could have gotten struck by the limbs. But it is a little bit like a synchronicity as I'm reading in this book. And then the next book I pick up is the simulation book about the simulated multiverse, and it's all about the tree of timelines, and he's making strong reference to a tree-like structure of the timeline. And I was just like, that's kind of the synchronicity. Like, why? How do I happen to be reading these particular books at these particular times? And one after another is talking about trees, and I'm having the tree situation in my neighborhood, and that's like synchronicity, and it's like a little bit of a feedback by the universe or some sort of simulation in society or something like that, where they know I'm going to be reading this, or and I think maybe time travel. I don't know. It's mind control. It's I don't know what's going on, but like there's it's like the universe or something is like telling me something about trees. And so, yeah, I just wanted to share that right now. And then get into a little bit more about synchronicity. I was going to read here again off of my account, online social media account. Uh, it discusses, this is somebody talking about abuse by proxy or mental harassment could be using people with certain appearances or names which match certain events from the target's life to re-traumatize them, play theater, manipulate, and confuse. It could also be other people recruited or manipulated by the abuser or abusive group who are known or unknown to the victim, helping them stalk, monitor, control, affect, provoke, sabotage, or otherwise abuse the victim and their life. Uh, this is this is a lady named L. Marie official on Threads. Okay, so she's got like a check mark or something, so she's like an official person or something. Anyways, I was going to point out like I'm not accusing this kid of doing anything or accusing the ESPN or anything like that, but like I get like feedback on ESPN sometimes, and this one I was watching something called Make a Wish or like My Wish or something, and it's a cute little thing for kids and everything. They get to have their wish made. They get to meet the sports teams and stuff. But this kid had a likeness to me when I was a little bit older in teenage years. I was a basketball player. This kid was like a basketball player. He was kind of heavy, and I was thin as a kid as a basketball player, and then I became heavy. And this is uh that like the I was depressed at during that time in my childhood because I didn't play basketball anymore. I stopped playing basketball, and I got depressed by like not playing something that doing something that I loved, and I just let circumstances like not making a high school team or not even trying out for the high school team, and it resulted in like me just shelving basketball altogether and going towards football, which I didn't like as much as basketball. I was good at basketball. I wasn't good at football. And so they like to make fun of me. And my favorite team as a kid was Duke. And this kid, his name is Vance, and he's a little bit heftier and stuff. So they're trying to make me remember that. And I think, I don't know if they're like trying to say, like, oh, you're just that little kid, and you're just a little kid who loves Duke basketball because I loved Duke basketball as a kid. And this kid named Vance, and JD Vance is a reference to Mike Vance, this guy named Mike Vance who did events with my dad at the Hollywood Boys and Girls Club for Disney, and he was always talking about Disney, and he was things like that. So I like Disneyland. I if I could work there, I probably would because I like the environment. I like the product. I like everything. Not necessarily everything about it, but I like a lot of it. I like most of everything about it. So they like to make fun of me and say you're JD Vance, and JD Vance has the round face, and I have a round face. And so they say you look like JD Vance. You are that's you. Uh, they like to make fun of me and stuff. And so uh, and then they say I'm cursed or something. So like I don't know. There was a synchronicity thing that happened with the Pope dying too, with JD Vance, and it was like you're cursed, and like all that commentary coming out of there was related, and they were like trying these proxies. It's like a proxy, like I was explaining in those posts or whatever. It's like proxy warfare through other people, like JD Vance as the vice president, and Donald Trump has selected me as his vice president or whatever. Donald Trump is like obsessed with me, and he manipulates people to hate me and stuff. But yeah, he's a psycho. But okay. Uh, anyways, I just wanted to share that little thing. Abused by proxy and the little make a wish. And I don't have anything against this my wish thing. It seems like it's a cool thing, and but I did wanted to say like these things people get used for mind control purposes or things like that. Or it's it's supposedly traumatized me. It doesn't really traumatize me. It's more like it's in some respects it's like a therapy thing, but like abusive therapists. So they like to belittle you. It's like therapists, in my estimation, therapists are kind of like belittling you. Like you're too stupid to understand yourself personally. You need somebody else who doesn't even know you, to get into your life and mental makeup or whatever. I mean, sometimes third party that's really good. I mean, I'm not saying therapy's all bad, but like it can be weaponized, and I experienced that a few times when I went to therapy. It was weaponized therapy and stuff. So yeah. But I'm saying therapy is good. I have experienced good therapy, so I'm not saying therapy is all bad. I have experienced like, I think I saw this guy named Dr. Greeting, and at the time I was being heavily abused, but he was a nice kind of safe space to go to, and he kept telling me to move to Vermont because I didn't have a lot of people, and at the time I could not deal with people. That was in the heavy days of the schizophrenia, and I had to wear like these sunglasses, and I couldn't look at anybody on the street. It was like a human trafficking aspect to the schizophrenia at that point, and it was really scary. Not scary, but like it was like it was like losing all control of your own life at that point, and so that was a little bit. It's a little scary when the state takes over your life and treats you like a slave, and you've been raised, especially as like an American, where you're like raised that all human rights, Bill of Rights, things like that, and then like they're just like, no, we're none of that shit. It was real. It's yeah. Harry Harlow. Okay, in my book on Homo Deus, Nova Yuval Harari is discussing monkey experiments where they didn't let the monkeys emotionally bond with people, and this gets into like the mammals in our dairy and meat system where they treat them terribly, and factory farming and stuff, and it's just like they don't let them bond. They don't treat them like they have emotional bonds. And Harry Harlow did an experiment on monkeys where he didn't let them emotionally bond, and Noah Yuval Harari is saying this is basically what we do to millions of mammals every year on a continual basis with our dairy and meat farming, and that's why I'm trying to eat less dairy, but I still eat dairy, but I trying to eat less meat. Uh, Speaking of, I just had a good salad at Mendocino Farms. It was a, I don't know, it was like a quinoa avocado salad with a possible meat, and so that was nice. And I didn't really talk about my trip to San Diego. I'll talk about that tomorrow. I didn't want to do it on top of the stuff I was talking about today, but all right, I gotta stop here. I'm just about done, and thank you for listening to me. It's been 15 minutes, so I have to go ahead and stop. Otherwise, I can't put these on YouTube for some reason. So.